Okay, gang, I finished the lyrics to song 4. It's called The Rumble. I'll just give you a little background, but it's about a little boy walking in the woods, picking berries, just before the Nazis entered Norway. And what made me think about this is I was telling somebody, my dad grew up in New York, but he was 7 when the tanks rolled in, and he was born a Norwegian citizen because my grandfather was not a citizen until 1943. So when my dad was born in 33, his dad was a Norwegian citizen. He was not an American citizen. And my grandfather did everything he could to go back and assist the war effort because he was so appalled at what the Nazis were doing to his home country, to his motherland. And in fact, my grandfather was the most right-wing dude politically you could ever imagine. I mean, Republican to the core. And yet, he hated fascism with such intensity that he did everything he could to go back and get them the bleep out. So that's what this is about. It's called The Rumble. Check it out. I was wandering in the forest, breaking through the morning dew, gathering cloudberries, the sun just peeking through, when somewhere in the distance I heard a rumbling sound. I always will remember, felt like it came up through the ground. I felt it through the ground. Hey gang, we're back. And we're back for 2 reasons to finish this vocal that I just showed you on the song called The Rumble, which is now known as The Rumble. And that's 2 things that are very, very important. One is, especially if you're writing lyrics, the lyrics have to tell the truth. And how do you know if they tell the truth? It's very simple. You just sometimes got to go sing them and see how they feel, you know? Like there's nothing like putting the red light on, hitting record, and seeing if they're believable, if you feel it here, and you're telling the truth. Now, 90% of what I did in that last take was the truth. But there was something, I don't know, something bothered me about some of the language. I didn't want it to be too on the head. And also, I didn't want it to be too obvious. You want to leave some mystery at all times in your songs, at least I think so. And I just like the flow of it. Like I felt like there was a couple of lines where I was stumbling over it. So I took the last 12 hours. It's now the next day. And I feel much better about it. Even if certain things aren't precisely the way I wanted to say it, they're not as obvious or hitting you over the head, and yet they still feel true and they sing better. And that's the other lesson. It must sing well. The other thing I learned from yesterday, well, I did 3 takes. I showed you 1, but there were 3 and they were all good. But again, I was having the same issue with a few of the lines. But 1 take was significantly hotter than the other 2, even though it felt to me like I was singing them the same. Obviously, I wasn't. And it was distorting in a couple spots. It didn't go into the red, but sometimes you can hit a mic so hard, it can't handle it. The diaphragm can't handle it. So that's why your levels and your distance and the consistency of distance and delivery are very, very important. So I'm taking my own advice. You remember that video from a few weeks ago where Bob Olson said to me, hey, just run the mix that you're listening to, the mix of the song you're working on, to a small mixer, and then get that sounding good in your headphones, and then send a split. You have to have a mic splitter of the mic you're singing into and send it to there. And then the other part you're recording into your DAW. And that's what I'm doing. And I can hear myself way better, which means I can do a more delicate reading. And this is going to help on quite a few of the songs, like song 5, You Will Never Take My Love Away From Me. That's going to need a lot more delicate reading than just shouting into a mic with the mix blasting. And that's where having a mixer, which I've got over there on the corner, it's behind, you can't see it, it's behind this. And I've got it balanced, so let's do it. I was wandering in the forest, breaking through the morning dew, gathering cloudberries, the sun just peeking through, when somewhere in the distance I heard that rumbling sound. I always will remember, felt like it came up through the ground. I felt it through the ground. Life would never be the same. No time to be a kid. It's buried deep inside my brain. The horrors that they did, everything they did. Some fell prey to the charms in a selfish need to survive. Or perhaps they felt it all along, hiding in plain sight, hidden in plain sight. It seemed they hated everything, including their own lives. They forced us all to fall in line, or we'd be pushed aside. We were all pushed aside. We went on with life as best we could, slowly chipped away. We kept our own list of names and dealt with it our way. We did it our own way. Part of what you hear is legend, but some of it is true. So no one ever will forget. We painted the town blue. The whole town's painted blue. I know the stories from the book, the words in red and flame. Hope it never comes again. This killing in his name, killing in God's name. Oh, and that part about painting the town blue, that's true. The town of Sutland, where my family is from, was so devastated from the war that after they rebuilt, they painted it blue, and it's still blue today.